11 celebrities with rare conditions. Though there are probably many naive enough to believe that celebrities are immune to serious health issues, that is most definitely not the case. They are as human as the rest of us and have to deal with the same types of problems that we all do. This is a list meant to inform. Number 11. Shannon Doherty. This poor woman doesn't just have one thing, she's got two. And all we can say is that we feel really bad for her. Shannon has breast cancer, is currently in remission, but she still got it and was diagnosed with a terrible big C in March of 2015. The cancer, terrifyingly, has spread to her lymph nodes and required a mastectomy in May of 2016. She also dealt with radiotherapy and chemotherapy following that procedure. And in April of last year, she announced her cancer was in remission. That's the newer thing she's been dealing with. But she was also dealing with Crohn's disease ever since 1999, which has affected her life considerably. Crohn's causes the intestinal tract to become and often stay inflamed and is an autoimmune disorder. Symptoms of Crohn's include diarrhea, weight loss, ulcers, abdominal pain, blood and stool, fevers, mouth sores, skin disorders, and more. She speaks out about her issues and hopes to educate people by doing so, instead of moping around with the poor me attitude. That's how you do it, Shannon. Number 10. Cher. We all know this name. Well, us older folks at least. But did you know that the immensely popular singer and actress has been sick with a condition called the Epstein-Barr virus for a very long time? She contracted it in the late 1980s and even took 3 years off from her busy schedule to try to get over it. But that's not how it works, considering there is no cure for Epstein-Barr. She attempted what she could try, various treatments that weren't available in the US when she began experiencing symptoms, even traveling to Germany to try to help herself out. This disease causes chronic fatigue syndrome, which for Cher and her professions is hugely detrimental. Luckily, she doesn't seem to have some of those things that are associated with EBV, which includes some forms of cancer, some autoimmune issues, multiple sclerosis, and more. However, she will have the condition for life and only can do what she can to try to make her symptoms more tolerable. Number 9. Selena Gomez. Okay, so some of us probably already know this one considering the surgery happened not that long ago. And because when it did happen, it was all over the news. Lupus is what the very young film, television, and singer star is affected with, and it came very close to actually taking her life. Most with lupus experience some effect on their kidneys, and Selena was no exception. Luckily, she had a close friend who was able to give her a kidney before her own decided to give out on her. Most aren't as lucky as she is, and a lot end up on dialysis or on the waiting list for a potential match, and for many, it doesn't come in time. Lupus can flare up and attack various and random parts of the body at any time, so she's not quite in the clear, but hey, her friend who is pictured here helped her fight another day and sing another song. Number 8. Gerard Butler. Do we all know who this action star is? Good. Well, Gerard Butler is known for his roughness and toughness, and has starred in many films that have put those two qualities of his to good use. But just because you're tough and strong and make for a good hero, it doesn't mean that you're immune to problems. Mr. Butler has suffered from a problem called tinnitus for a long time, since his childhood, and is still affected by it till this day. His right ear is his lousy ear, his hard of hearing ear, and he had it pressed when he was younger to try to correct the condition. It didn't entirely work, however, and he still suffers from the buzzing and ringing in his ear that is characteristics of tinnitus. Ever see his crooked smile? Well, he blames that on his condition as well, and said that it is due to his ear issue that he smiles that way. There's no cure for the problem, and no one really knows much about what causes it. But that hasn't stopped good old Gerard, as we all know full and well. Number 7. Missy Elliott. This rap queen actually lived with symptoms of her problem for a little while before deciding things were getting severe enough for her to go to the doctor. When she did, she was diagnosed with Graves' disease, a condition that affects the thyroid, which it did to hers and continues to do so to this day. She was first given the diagnosis back in 2008, following a series of kind of scary scenarios she found herself in, which convinced her to go to the doctor. At one point, she ceased to be able to drive, finding herself behind the wheel one day, unable to press the gas pedal while she was in the middle of driving. She also reportedly had trouble even holding a pen to write music, which is something that had become extremely normal for her. Thankfully, she went on and got tested, and now she at least knows what's going on, and she worked hard to control the Graves, and will have to continue to do so for her remaining time on this planet. Number 6. Lil Wayne. There's no doubt that Lil Wayne was one of the more popular rappers in the last 10 years or so. But do any of you know that he suffers from something that definitely changes the way he has to live his life? What we're talking about here is epilepsy, and he was diagnosed when he was a child, meaning that he's been dealing with this problem for a long time. He even had to give up his aforementioned syrup, lean, purple drink, whatever you want to call it, due to his condition, and has suffered from some pretty severe seizures in the last few years that have left him confused and hospitalized. He's even been forced to cancel shows in wake of his intense episodes, and once in 2013, he nearly met his maker because of uncontrollable seizures, and had to be induced into a coma to try to break them. Reportedly, he spent 6 whole days fighting for his life in the ICU, but luckily, he made it out intact. Who knew? I guess that's why you don't do heavy mixtures of drugs when you have a pretty serious condition, but we're pretty sure Lil Wayne understands that now. Number 5. Sarah Michelle Gellar. While this leading lady hasn't really been around much for a good long time, she's still relevant, in a way. And it's still sad to hear that she suffers from any type of issue. But we live in the real world, and she does. And what she suffers from is scoliosis. Scoliosis is classified as an unnatural curvature of the spine that can significantly affect those who have it, especially if it gets bad enough. Sarah herself suffers from a pretty significant scoliosis, but she doesn't seem to have the disproportionate body that it causes in some. She also hasn't let it stop her from doing the things she wants, including acting. And she's managed to keep her control of her pains by doing Pilates and other types of exercises. Who would have known? Those in the know, I guess, but it's news to us, and we're glad to be able to share it with you. And we now see Sarah Michelle Gellar in a whole new light. Number 4. LeAnn Rimes. This country singer has her own, not-so-fun problem that she is battling, and will forever battle, and is called psoriasis. Psoriasis often causes embarrassment and hits people really hard in their confidence. LeAnn was diagnosed at 2 years old and often had flare-ups as a young child, which made her feel as though she needed to cover up her problem. Her psoriasis even spread when people would want an issue, such as that, to die down in the summer, which she apparently remembers being quite embarrassed by. She has her psoriasis entirely under control at this point, and tries not to let it affect her or control her life. Well, way to go, LeAnn. It's always good to look on the bright side, but hey, not to minimize her problem, but she does have it better than some others on this list. It's all about perspective. Number 3. Kim Kardashian. Okay, we don't really care who you are, but if you've lived on this earth for more than just a few years, you know who Kim Kardashian is, at least in name. Everyone knows that Kim puts a lot of emphasis on her physical and outward appearance. But did you happen to know that Kim was diagnosed with psoriasis back in 2011? Which definitely put a dent in her wish to be physically flawless. Psoriasis causes really fast skin cell growth, which can show up as thick, rough scaly growths on any part of the skin, or as red patches that are pretty rough compared to the surrounding skin. The doctor who diagnosed the Kardashians stated that Kim's psoriasis was most likely caused by stress and lots of pressure from her fame. The poor thing. Number 2. Kennedy Jordine Bromley. While many of you may not know her name, you do now. And now we're going to go through just a little bit of her story. Kennedy was born in February of 2003, and that's when doctors informed her mother, Brianne Jordine, that she wasn't going to survive for more than just a few days. Well, Kennedy is now 15 years old and does such things as swimming, hockey, and functions fine in school, despite having very fragile bones and some learning difficulties. When she was 8 months old, she was diagnosed with a condition that causes the limbs to be underdeveloped, called premortal dwarfism. She is in constant danger of getting scoliosis or having an aneurysm. Can you imagine watching or fearing for your child constantly? Geez, my heart. Young Kennedy has definitely surpassed all expectations and continues to amaze, and she's become a celebrity in her hometown. And even outside of it, because she starred in a movie called Eep, or Ep in America. There is no guarantee on how much longer Kennedy has on Earth, but she's going to rock the time that she does have. That seems to be for sure. Number 1. Seal. Now, who doesn't know Seal? Not only is he a fantastic singer, but he's also a great human being, and has a very distinctive appearance due to scarring on his face. But what do we really know about Seal? Does anyone know what he suffers from? We'll give you a hint. Think Selena Gomez. That's right, Seal too suffers from lupus, the automotive disease that actually caused the deep fissures on his face. His body started to just attack, injuring and scarring his face until it looked like it does today. But hey, without those scars, would he even be Seal? His particular case of lupus is known as discoid lupus, and that type loves to go after the skin that's found above the neck, so it's scalp, face, and ears. He made it, lupus or not, and has never tried to let his disease entirely control his life. How many of you knew all of those? Half? How about one? Sometimes we forget that celebrities are people too. People who have real problems and are just as mortal as the rest of us. If this video taught you something, do me a favor and give it a like. Feel free to comment and subscribe to the channel for new, exciting videos all the time. Thanks for watching.